Hello. I've had a love-hate relationship with Charlton all my life, mostly hate. And one of the big reasons was the signature Nicholas Alisea. Some people thought that that was the name of an artist, but I think I always realized it was a penciler and anchor. But I never realized what a good artist Charles Nicholas was, or how far back his roots went in comics. Charles Nicholas created the Blue Beetle in 1940, one of the earliest superheroes. These are a couple examples of his splash pages. But I know him most from his romance work. And like I said, mostly I was aware of the Nicholas Alisea brand, and I didn't have it hold him in much regard until I started collecting. And then I was looking at more and more comics, and I realized that different anchors brought out different qualities in Charles Nicholas. And eventually I found that the very best inker was for Nicholas himself. Now, I've done some research, and I'm fixing to go on and on about his catalog going back to the 1930s. I would suggest, rather than listen to me, you put on some music. Maybe the St. Patrick's Day show by the Toadies in Dallas. That's a fun one to listen to watch this stuff. But if you don't want to put on music, here we go. He created the Blue Beetle in Mystery Men #1, August of 1939. On that book, he worked with the likes of Will Eisner, Dick Briefer, George Tuska. Lou Fine did the cover, and also Bob Powell and Klaus Nordling. He worked for a lot of publishers. He worked for Quality on National Comics and Hit Comics, where he did the Red Bee. He worked on many Fox titles, The Big Three, uh, The Flame. For Fiction House, he did Jumbo and Fight. For Marvel, he worked on Daring Mystery Comics, Captain America, USA, Marvel Mystery Comics, where he drew The Vision, Miss America, and Blonde Phantom. In Comedy Comics, he worked under the pseudonym of C. Wojtowski, something like that. That was his first foray out of superheroes. At 42, he was working for Columbia on Big Shot Comics, Hollyoak on Catman, and Captain Arrow, Human Torch at Marvel. He did all the Young Allies and many titles through the war. After the war, he did titles like Sparkling Stars, Headline Comics inking Jack Kirby, of course Human Torch still, and Captain America. Worked on Real Clue, inking Kirby, Crown Comics. Uh, Crime Must Pay the Penalty for Ace. He did lots of crime. Captain America for Marvel. Charlie Chan for Prize. At Marvel, he worked on Namora, Submariner, and the Blonde Phantom. His first credit for DC was on Boy Commandos, inking Kurt Swan. And his first romance comics was called Romance Adventures, where he did some inks for ACG. He worked on Kanga for Fiction House, Babe Ruth Sports for Harvey, Western and Science Fiction for Ace and Avon. Uh, through the early 50s, he did a lot of crime and things like Man for Marvel, Weird Adventures for PL Publishing, Co-ed Romances for PL Publishing, something called Sorry, which is a Jungle Girl type book. He worked on Doll Man for Quality. Lots of crime and horror in 1952. 1953, he did something called Atomic War. That was fun. And through 55, he did a lot of horror, war, and romance comics. His first credit for Charlton was in December 1957, where he worked on Space Adventures for Charlton, doing inking, I believe. But then he worked throughout the late 50s. He worked on titles for Charlton like Lash LaRue, Billy the Kid, Raymar, Romantic Story, Unusual Tales, something called Mr. Muscles, something called Zaza the Mystic, written by Jerry Siegel. He also was doing work in up until 56. He was working also for Atlas, Quality, DC, and Ace. By 1957, most of his accounts dropped out. It was kind of a dry period for comics, and he set up shop at Charlton, where he worked on war, romance, you name it, westerns, whatever you could imagine. He had 2,297 credits for Charlton, and I like best his romance comics. His style was really clean. He could draw girls very well, very attractive. He could do like decorations and good layouts. It was just fun. A love I'll never know. I don't know what to tell you about these stories. They're mostly domestic problems. One girl likes a boy, he likes somebody else. She ends up with him. It's pretty common plot. Most, if not all, of these stories were written by a guy named Joe Gill, I've been told. And I read somewhere that he worked there in the office on a typewriter, turning out romance, war, and horror stories at $4 a page, eventually getting up to $7 a page. But he just kept on going. He was quite a storyteller. And Charles Nicholas, there's a story I heard about him. I'm not sure if it's true or not, but some of the artists were trying to organize some kind of a union. And they say that Nicholas went to Wildman and told him about it. And they kind of put a stop to it. And then after that, Wildman felt like he owed Nicholas something. So Nicholas had priority from, like maybe 74, 75 on. And they gave him all the work that he could do up until his death in 1985. And Charlton didn't last that much longer after that. I think a lot of their books ended up being reprints. Whatever you say about Charles Nicholas, he was a slick, well-drawn artist. He liked to draw uh, textured clothing and night scenes and little decorative motifs. He could do a little bit of action, the occasional fight. If you're watching this video in August of 2025, I want to clue you in. I'm going to be doing a giveaway for my 350 followers. I've gone past that now, and I've been meaning to do it, but I haven't figured out exactly how I'm going to do it. I've been writing all my subscribers to write their names down, and I've got them, like a little envelope. So I guess I'm going to pour them in a hat or something and just pick a winner. So I'm going to say I'm going to do it next week, and I'll put up a promo for it, so you'll know that it's coming up. And I'm giving away an EC portfolio from Russ Cochran from the early 70s that prints EC stories in oversized, like original art size. It's a beautiful book, and I'm sure that you'll enjoy it. Well, I think we're getting close to the end, so I'm going to do the old, if you like it, like it. Your likes help the algorithm. Let's do your comments. And I appreciate any comments you make. I read them all and try to respond, although sometimes they seem to hide them. But that's about it. Like, subscribe, comment. Yep, that's everything. Thanks a lot if you lasted this long. See you next time.